That's helpful. I think one of the issues for us to remember with the integral aspect of integral ecology is that human beings, as our consciousness grows, hopefully will attend to these things, the different environmental issues in ways that, we might not fix them or completely come up with solutions, but it is within our consciousness that as we evolve, we care about those things, and as we care about them, then we'll attend to them.
That's good. Well said.
So I also guess wanted to ask, so just a couple more questions. That is, with your book, now that you've completed that, and that's quite a book. I mean, it's very well written. I think it's one of the best explanations of the all quadrants, all levels, all lines that I've heard with, because it's applied and it's easy to read,
Right.
and I just love it. But given that you've done that and you've had that process, are you happy with the product, and do you think you learned things along the way in writing this book?
Oh, well, it's a good question. Let me say first of all that it was a pleasure working with Sean on this. He and I formed an incredibly in sync team. I mean, we were intuitively on board with what the guy, Sean was going to do next, and I was going to do this. It was a wonderful experience to write it. I've never written anything like this with another person. It's a huge project.
Of course.
Could have been a disaster.
Yeah.
Just because two people could get, but it never happened with Sean and I. We're totally on board with the project, and Sean is responsible for 60% or more of the book. I mean, he wrote a dissertation about this, and all those that material, like that you're going to, I don't know which chapter you're going to be using.
Chapter 11.
Is that about the practice?
Yes, it's applied.
Applying it, Sean came up with all that stuff. I mean, he was really good at this. He's very good at presenting this material in ways that people can get whatever level they're operating at, they can get it, because he's offering it all those levels. But I'm very happy with the book. I think it's too long. I have to put some of the blame for that on Sean. Sean just kept wanting to put everything in. I said, Sean, let's do another one. He said, no, I want to. And Shambhala was willing to do it.
Yeah.
And they did a very nice job. I think it's a very handsome book. I'm very, very pleased that the press, Shambhala, put so much money and time and thought into.
Yes, and it's evident. It's you can see it. It's just a classy book.
So I'm very happy with how it came out. I like the contents. I still agree with everything in there. There's not a lot I would change. Now, if anything, Sean and I have talked about doing a shorter version, the 250-page version.
Yeah.
And we may do that. He had another child this spring, and number 2, and I think that
occupies your time.
Put a little crimp in his style. I get that. I have an 11-year-old daughter. So we may or may not do the next book, but I'm happy with this one.
Oh, that's good. That's great. And I guess I wanted to say that because I'd really recommend to you, all of the students, that if you can find this book, wherever you're located, and if you could or order it. I have a problem getting books in South Africa. We can't even order from Amazon.com right now.
Really?
It's difficult in terms of mail and stuff.
Oh, sure.
But anyway, if you can buy it, buy it. It's a good thing to have in your library. And which leads me really to my last question. And the last question is, why do you think, someone in eco-psychology, in transpersonal development department, or transpersonal psychology, and this course is integral psychology, why should we study integral ecology? Why should the eco-psychology students study it or read your book?
Oh, that's a good question, and an important question. Well, in a way, I mean, in a way, the book can be understood to some extent as eco-psychology. I mean, because
it's interesting.
Because human beings are complex psychological beings. We have, a complex type of first-person awareness and first and second-person relationships, and we have this complex culture and so on. And it's through these lenses of a first-person experience and a dialogical dialogue, which can produce another way of seeing things and our cultural presuppositions.
Yeah.
These are all factors, and of course all of those have developmental levels operating in them. It's only through these that we can even notice that there are environmental problems.
Exactly.
So, because of the nature of us as the kind of organisms that we are, other organisms can notice that there's something wrong. I guess, like if you put out if an industrial plant is polluting a stream and a fish moves into the polluted part, presumably the fish is having some experience of being sick.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like for a fish. I would bet my bottom dollar there's something like that it's like for a fish to be poisoned, that they have an experience
It's
of
not pleasant.
this is not good. Now they may not be able to articulate that, but they feel it, all right, as many other organisms do. Well, what is it that we bring to the party? We can talk about all that.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's a vast increase in the space of within which phenomena can show up, or their complexity can show up. So I think that psychological aspect, the first person, second person aspect, and the cultural aspects, those are the lenses through which we are able to gain access to and name a problem. Again, what counts as an environmental problem doesn't count for everyone. I mean, what I say is an environmental problem, for someone else would say that's how I make a living. In fact, there's in that William Cronin book, Uncommon Ground, there's a great article about the conflict between loggers and environmentalists in the Northwest forests up in Oregon and Washington. And a bumper sticker that was popular for loggers in the mid-1990s was read this way. It said, "Are you an environmentalist, or do you work for a living?"